Have you ever stared at your banking app, watching your balance update in real time, yet felt an unexplainable phantom anxiety that your money isn't actually real? You are caught in a silent psychological trap designed by the modern cashless economy, and it is quietly draining your peace of mind. Right now, across Europe, millions of adults are experiencing a strange, invisible friction between digital convenience and a deep-seated fear of financial survival. If you secretly feel that the entire system could vanish tomorrow, this analysis is going to expose exactly why your brain is wired this way and how to weaponize this anxiety to secure your future. Financial psychologists are currently obsessed with a highly specific group of individuals who do not fit into any generational box. These are the adults born between 1976 and 1985, a unique microgeneration acting as the final bridge between two entirely different economic civilizations. You possess a rare, financially bilingual brain that is far too skeptical of modern debt to be a millennial, yet far too comfortable with advanced digital tools to be Generation X. Your relationship with survival is fundamentally split, creating a constant internal warfare that dictates every single euro you spend, save, or invest. To understand the root of your modern anxiety, we must examine the concrete blueprint of your childhood. You grew up in an ancient world where capital had absolute physical boundaries, meaning money was an object you had to physically touch, count, and run out of. If you wanted to purchase something significant, you were forced to save actual coins in a jar for months, or utilize strict layaway systems at local stores. Your parents maintained a physical checkbook register, manually subtracting every transaction line by line with a pen. This structural delay created a powerful psychological barrier between impulse and gratification, training your young brain that survival required time, physical effort, and tangible sacrifice. Then, precisely as your brain reached the absolute peak of its formative development, the entire global financial architecture shifted overnight. The sudden introduction of early debit cards and online banking platforms transformed currency from a physical reality into an abstract digital illusion. According to peer-reviewed research on neuroplasticity, the human prefrontal cortex, which governs long-term planning and impulse control, continues to develop well into your mid-20s. This means your brain was in its final, highly adaptable window of growth when society eliminated all physical friction from spending. You were old enough to remember the hard reality of cash, but young enough to effortlessly absorb the deceptive convenience of the digital grid. However, the true defining trauma of your economic identity occurred in the year 2008. Just as you were entering the workforce or finally securing your career footing, the global financial system suffered a catastrophic, systemic collapse. The crisis of 2008 was not a distant news headline. It was an immediate, existential threat to your personal survival. You watched older generations lose their entire life savings in a matter of days and witnessed massive banking institutions completely vanish. This profound instability during your most vulnerable years left permanent scars on your risk tolerance, planting a quiet, cold voice that constantly warns you that the next collapse is inevitable. As a direct result of living through these two extreme eras, you now navigate a hyper-modern world of abundance, using a deeply hardwired psychology of scarcity. You are highly sophisticated enough to maximize credit card rewards and manage complex digital assets, yet you feel deeply exposed if your balance is not paid off instantly. You might strictly maximize your long-term retirement accounts while simultaneously maintaining a hidden emergency reserve that you refuse to touch under any circumstances. You find yourself researching minor purchases for weeks, even when you can easily afford them, driven by a hypervigilance that younger generations find completely baffling. This psychological strain is further amplified by the total degradation of modern financial privacy. You spent your youth in a society where personal wealth was a strictly confidential matter, never discussed with neighbors, friends, or colleagues. Today, you are forced to navigate an online landscape where people routinely broadcast their net worth and publicize their investment strategies for social validation. This endless, artificial comparison triggers an instinctual discomfort deep within your microgeneration. You understand the mechanics of this digital transparency, yet your core survival instincts view it as inherently dangerous, unstable, and deeply unsafe. The constant availability of real-time financial tracking has also quietly rewired your nervous system into a state of chronic alertness. In the past, Checking a bank balance occurred once a month through a physical paper statement, providing a comforting illusion of permanent stability. Now, you can watch your net worth fluctuate by the second on a glass screen, creating a continuous state of low-level fight or flight. This immediate feedback loop forces you to monitor your accounts far more frequently than you care to admit. Your mind is trapped in a loop, trying to apply the slow, cautious logic of a physical world to a digital system that moves faster than human biology can process. Ultimately, your inability to fit into modern generational stereotypes is not a psychological defect, but your greatest strategic weapon. In an era where currency has become entirely invisible and financial systems are increasingly fragile, remembering how money moves slowly is an elite skill. You possess the rare capacity to master the digital future, without ever losing sight of the harsh, tangible realities of the past. By understanding this internal friction, you can stop feeling anxious and start using your unique resilience to outlast the economic volatility ahead. You learn that systems can fail, that access is not the same as affordability, and that is precisely what will keep you safe while the rest of the world panics.